So this is cool. I think this is, again, we're just going to keep building on the doing part of all this, okay? Just doing. And you can take what you see today here back to the clinic and apply it this afternoon, tomorrow, whenever you want. And I think this mindset's really important because the word value gets thrown around a lot. And really, it's one of those words that we go value. And if I go, what's it mean? You go, well, you know. And so we're going to define what value is. In order to sell value, we must understand what it is and what it means. Okay, so that's where we're going to go today, and I'll tell you guys how to start using that. And what I believe is once we define it, you'll pretty simply go, cool, I get it, I can use it that way. And that's so much about what we've been doing here, and I've been doing over the last God knows how many years, is redefining some of these terms just so they fit us. Like selling, right? I mean, selling has a perfect role in the front desk. It has a perfect role in healthcare. It has a role if we define it. If I just throw out the word selling and everybody fills in their own definition within their head, we're never going to move this stuff forward. So step one is to, move this stuff forward. And the definitions around selling, I get from the great selling books, right? From the people who say, look, it isn't all bad, and then define what selling really is. And everybody takes that one negative experience they have with selling, and they apply it and say it can't work outside of anything. So I just want to redefine all this, in this value thing is really important because you are selling value. Yet value can only be perceived by the person on the other end of the phone, can only be judged by the person on the other end of the phone. So you're going to be selling what is important to your client so that they will see value. It's that simple. How do I know what's important to them? I ask them, right? But first, again, we need that equation of what is value. So if you look and this is where I had trouble with the terminology around this. If you look in many of the books behind me, if you talk to business people about value, they basically tell you it's quality. Value equals quality over price. And I say, cool, what's quality? Right? Quality is my least favorite word of anything. Quality care, quality anything. You got to define it. So quality is not defined. So great, I'm going to define value with a word I don't know how to define. And then price. Whose price? What price? Cost? Payment? Price? What's price? So again, I always had a really hard time with this definition, and I would see it and I'm like, okay, I get it, but how does it apply? Is value something I sell to someone, or is value something that's perceived? And that definition alone tells you that value is a perception of the person receiving the quality and paying a price. Cool. So recently I did a talk, and even as of last Monday, a week ago Monday, I gave a talk, and I used one of my favorite slides defining value in healthcare. And most people, when they define value in healthcare, will use the quality over price equation. I'm like, it doesn't really work. So let's define this. So let's get rid of the word quality, because we've got to say what it is. And if we want someone to value something, and we're going to put it into a mathematical equation, then there has to be some objectiveness to the terms. And quality is so subjective, and quality is so surreal that it can't possibly go in there. So here's what I say, and this is what you need to know for this example. Value equals outcomes, right? Now we can start to measure something, plus experience. So that's that experience, the client experience. Yes, that is subjective. Yet we have the outcome too. And I would argue we could measure the experience through an NPS score, through surveys. So we now have two measurable things other than quality. So my definition, again, is I tell people, spell out what quality is in your business. Spell it out on your website, spell it out on the first phone call, so the person on the other side can go, oh, that sounds like quality. That's important to me. We don't use that term, but that's what they're saying. And I know my boy Brad loves to talk about selling results, yet value is greater than just results. Results, outcomes, are part of the value equation. They're not the only thing. So I don't want to be confused in saying value is a result. People value results, but ultimately, if we're going to stay true to the business and figure out what we're selling to people, things they value, and give them something to spend their money on, which is things they value, then we need to define the whole equation. So we said outcomes plus experience. That's the quality part. So now we have value equals value equals outcome plus experience. Cool. Across the bottom, price. So what I put is the cost of their time, money, and energy. Tell me people haven't increased the value of their time since March. You know, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of people working from home, and a lot of people working from home who will never return to the office because they have found the value of time and they value the time greater than money. Now, I'm not saying they're quitting their jobs, but even businesses have found time is more valuable than money. Okay, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars to be in the office every day. Why? Because you need to get your work done. Well, for better or for worse, COVID showed that people can actually get more work done without getting in a car and commuting for half an hour, 2 hours each direction. So cost, rather than price, I like cost because cost entails and is the equal of time, money, and energy. Money can be replaced, energy can be replaced, time cannot be replaced. So to say people only value something that comes out of their pocket or that they expend like energy is foolish. Time, there is a cost, there is a price on time. So again, now we're getting somewhere. So let's step back. Value equals outcomes plus experience over cost. And cost is time, money, or energy. Cool. Now let's take this one step further because that still doesn't tell you whose outcome, whose experience, whose cost. So what I like to do, and when I put the equation up, I say value equals their outcome plus their experience, THEIR, over their THEIR cost. So now we're getting somewhere. Now your front desk has something to share and sell. And really, the one thing that can be, here's the kicker here, which is why this can't always be about results. Because I know I'm not going to be the first one to tell you this, but hopefully I'm the first one to remind you of this week. Your patients, your clients, your customers, your potential patients, your potential clients, your potential customers can get the result that you offer them many other places. Repeat that to yourself. So if we're just going to talk about value being an outcome, then we're going to lose. Because if it's value equals outcome over price or cost, that now we're in a commodity race. Now we're racing to the commodity, right? People can get a result at the chiro, they can get a result with the personal trainer, they can get a result with the massage therapist, they can get a result with the acupuncturist. So the way that we can really start to sell this and make this about you and your business is the outcome plus the experience. Their outcome, their experience. And for those of you who know my 10-point checklist, this 10-point checklist is built around creating and expressing through that phone value to that person on the other end. So by the time you get to step number 7, which is how do you want to pay for this, they have all in that value equation they need except for the monetary cost, because they're already thinking of the time and the energy it's going to take, because by the way, in my 10-point checklist, you address that with them. So the energy and the time are already in the equation. So once you get down to how you're going to pay for this and give them the monetary, it is the last part they need to insert into that equation to decide, is this valuable for me? This is what it's all about. Value is in the life of the person who receives it, not gives it. So again, I'm sharing with you all the parts of the value equation. We've helped people just like you. We can get you back to that outcome, right? We talk about the experience at your clinic, and then we talk about the time, money, and energy it's going to take. And then that person on the other end of the phone says that's something I value, or it's something I don't with your business. Doesn't mean they don't value getting better. Doesn't mean they don't value your experience. But when you take that whole equation, there are multiple parts of it. And this is where people lose out, right? On this value conversation. People buy what they value. So you have to give them the components of the equation This is what I love about not talking about cost and waiting until someone arrives in the clinic to give them cost. Do they really value? This is back to why will they arrive? They know everything they need to know. And I'm like, they don't. They don't have all parts of the equation. They don't have the money. So you can't truly say they value what you have to offer them until they know the money part. Do they know the time? Maybe. Do they know the energy required? Maybe. Do they know you've helped other people just like them? Maybe. Do they understand your experience is different? Maybe, maybe not, as you guys all know. If the phone call is just like everywhere else I ever called, and you schedule me for physical therapy at 10:30 for my low back pain, there is no value there. Because that's called a commodity. I value the lowest price when I'm buying a commodity. Cereal. Physical therapy is a commodity. Got you scheduled at 10:30 for physical therapy for your low back pain. Cool. Your process, your front desk just commoditized your product. So what's the value? The value is based on one thing and one thing only. The only thing that's not common in that whole equation is the cost. The same outcome is promised, the same experience is being had, and then the cost is the only variable in there that I have to base anything on, because you didn't give me any of the other parts of the equation to make a decision on. If it's, we're gonna help you with your low back pain versus we're gonna help you get back to CrossFit and get rid of that morning pain, I now have my desired outcome. There's something that's different. If I'm listening to you, if I'm making the conversation about you, you're having a different experience. If I tell you what it's going to be like when you arrive and you say, wow, that's different. If I tell you about the expert you're going to have, how they're going to tell you what's going on, and they're going to help you with your journey back to CrossFit and getting rid of that morning pain, then we're on to something, right? That experience is completely different. Now, we talk about the time and the energy and the monetary part. Now I've got value. You know what? For physical therapy, I'd pay $100. For this, I'll pay more. Geez, what's different, right? The value equation, what they value. So you must share with people what you can offer them. You must talk about their desired outcome. You must talk about the experience to get there. And then you must make sure they understand the time, the energy, and the cost. And you and I both know the time could be driving to the clinic, the time in the clinic, not just the plan of care. And the plan of care is part of the experience, not part of the time, right? For this conversation. The value can grow, so they show up. Wow, I'm really happy I'm here. The value increases. Wow, I can't believe my expert, Dr. Jane Doe, is doing all this work for me. Value is increasing. But I've got to establish the value, right, by giving them the parts of the equation. That's simple. I think what we'll do is end it here, because you got everything you need to know to start to fill in the parts of the value equation so that your front desk can start to share these things, so that the person on the other end of the phone can say, yes, that's what I value. That outcome, that experience, that time, that energy, that money, and I will arrive on Thursday at 10:30 to see my expert, Dr. Jane Doe, who will help get me back to CrossFit and will help me get rid of that morning pain. That's simple. Okay? Cheers. Short, sweet, to the point. Watch this again. Have your front desk watch it. You're filling in the parts of the equation so that people can determine the value. The value can only be determined by the person on the other end of the phone. The way you help them determine the value they will receive from you is fill in the parts of the equation. Their outcomes, their experience, their cost. Cheers all.